and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, not to mention all of their moons.
8 planets, 1 sun, this is the way our solar system runs. 8 planets, 1 sun, this is the way our solar system runs.
Mercury,
the first planet, the smallest one, also the planet closest to the sun. Twice a year you can see it in the sky, no telescope needed, just use your eye. It's made out of rocks and metal, you see, just chilling on its axis terrestrially. It orbits the sun in 87 Earth days. This means a shorter time between birthdays.
Mission Control, we're approaching Venus right now.
Venus, the second planet from the sun. Believe it or not, it's the hottest one. 800 degrees is the average temp. It's called the morning star. Sometimes you get a glimpse of it shining brightly in our atmosphere. One day on Venus is longer than its year. That sounds strange, but the fact is, it's rotating very slowly on its
the
axis.
sun and the moon and the stars. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, not to mention all of their moons.
Earth, the third planet from the sun. The only one that we found life on, like people, animals, plants, birds, and fish. Without Earth's water, life wouldn't exist. Earth has one moon that lights up the night sky. Its gravitational pull causes tides to rise. Earth is the planet with the most water, and its yearly orbit, 365 and a quarter.
Mission Control, we're approaching Mars right now.
Mars, the fourth planet from the sun, is the red planet, the last terrestrial one. Its gravitational pull is much lighter. If you were there, you could jump 3 times higher. And just like Earth, Mars has seasons. Its axis is tilted, that's the main reason. To orbit the sun, it takes Mars 2 years. Its deserts actually have ice, that's kind of weird.
Inside the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system gives you so many things to see.
Jupiter, from the sun, the fifth planet, the first gas giant, man, it's gigantic. It's the largest planet in our solar system. You can fit over 300 planet Earths in it. It has a great red spot from stormy skies discovered by astronomers in 1665. With over 60 moons in short days, Jupiter is different in a lot of ways.
Mission Control, we're approaching Saturn. Wow, would you look at those rings?
Saturn, the sixth planet from the sun, is the second gas giant, the cool-looking one with the rings around it, made of dust and ice, and they're huge, over 8,000 miles wide. It has the fastest winds of all the planets, 150 moons, and even smaller moonlets. It takes 29 years to round the sun, and Saturn's rings make it a truly unique one.
The sun and the moon and the stars. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, not to mention all of their moons.
Uranus, the seventh planet from the sun, the opposite of Venus, is the coldest one. Its axis is the most unique thing of all. It makes Uranus rotate like a bowling ball. It's the lightest of the gas giants. It takes 84 Earth years just to make its orbit. Some people say its name a different way, but we'll stick with Uranus if that's okay.
Mission Control, we're approaching Neptune. Man, it's cold out here.
Neptune, eighth planet from the sun, a bright blue planet, also an icy one. For centuries, people didn't know that it existed. It's not that big, so we can see how they missed it. It's the smallest of the 4 gas giants with quite a bit of mass and a very active climate. It's a big ball of hydrogen and helium sitting at the very far end of the solar system.
Inside the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system gives you so many things to see.
Last but not least, let's talk about the sun. It's the star at the center of our solar system, responsible for all of Earth's weather and climate, so big that 1 million Earths could fit inside of it. It's a huge burning ball of gases. Don't even try to look at it without protective glasses. It supplies the Earth with heat and light. The sun keeps the seasons of the Earth working right.
The sun and the moon and the stars. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, not to mention all of their moons.
Solar system. Solar system. It's the solar system. Hey, you, it's the solar system.
I'd like to give a shout out to Pluto. We miss you, buddy.
Love you, Pluto. You're still a planet to us.
Roger, 0J.
a little something about Mercury. In the order of the planets, it's the first you see. It's the closest planet to the big fat sun, and I still can't believe it's not the hottest one. Let me tell you a little something about Mercury. It's also called the planet of extremes, with days so hot and nights so cold, it can't be home to a living soul.
This planet has a place in space, 36 million miles away
From the sun.
the smallest planet in the solar system. But you won't believe how much it weighs,
3.86 billion tons.
with no moon in the sky at night, and nothing to give it some light.
It's so dark.
Not only dark, but extremely cold. It's 330 degrees below.
That's -10.
Let me tell you a little something about Mercury. It's made of iron and heavy things. Its atmosphere is extremely thin. No human could possibly breathe it in. Let me tell you a little something about Mercury. It's terrestrial, that's real rocky. It takes 59 days to rotate or spin. Its atmosphere is made of oxygen and sodium and hydrogen and helium and potassium.
We try to learn more about Mercury, so we sent some space probes out there.
So far.
Mariner 10 showed us the craters, then we sent Messenger 30 years later.
See what we did right there.
It doesn't have an atmospheric shield to protect it from solar rays.
From the sun.
This also means it has some freezing nights and some amazingly excessive hot days.
800 degrees.
Let me tell you a little something about Mercury. It was named for a Roman deity. He had wings on his helmet and his shoes. He's an ancient mailman, messenger dude. Let me tell you a little something about Mercury. In the order of the planets, it's the first you see. It's the closest planet to the big fat sun, and I still can't believe it's not the hottest one. Second planet from the sun. Temperature-wise, you're the hottest one. You're called the morning and the evening star. Our next door neighbor, and you're not too far. NASA said that your world is dim because your atmosphere won't let much light in. Whoa, it's thick and toxic and it traps in heat. You're made for the Roman goddess of love and beauty. 900 degrees in Fahrenheit. It's mighty dark in the middle of your moonless night.
Did you know that Venus's surface is covered with craters, volcanoes, and dry lava? What?
You're so quirky with the way you spin. It's backwards, retrograde rotation. Oh, Venus in the time it takes for you to rotate. The Earth has seen more than 200 days. And your day is longer than your year. We think you're awesome, Venus, but that's sorta weird.
Did you know that Venus's atmosphere is made of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and sulfuric acid? And if you lived on Venus, which no one can, you would see the sun rising in the west and setting in the east due to its backward rotation. What?
You're 67 million miles from the sun, with a large volcano called magma. Oh, Venus, yeah, your Earth's twin sister.
Yeah.
Your size is similar,
Yeah.
but you're still different.
Yeah.
Hey, Venus,
Yeah.
you're always cloudy.
Yeah.
And you're terrestrial.
Yeah.
That means you're rocky.
Yeah.
Hey, Venus, you're so fly, shining brightly in our sky. Hey, Venus, yeah. Hey, Venus.
Yeah.
Hey, Venus, see you later. Glad I can't fall in your craters, Venus. Yeah. Hey, Venus.
It's zany, it's wacky, and so ends another exciting adventure. Be with us again next week. We'll be listening. How about you?
Planet Earth. Planet Earth. Third rock from the sun is the only one with a bunch of life, 'cause there ain't no place like planet Earth. Planet Earth. Planet Earth. 93 million miles from the sun is the planet we're on, and there ain't no place like planet Earth.
Planet Earth is rocky,
Terrestrial.
from its core through the mantle to the crust.
For life to exist on planet Earth, the right type of atmosphere is a must.
78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 1% is other elements.
The Earth has just the right atmospheric content.
Planet Earth. Planet Earth. Every 24 hours the Earth rotates, and this is how we get our night and day. Planet Earth. It's teeming with life. From the fish in the sea to the birds in the sky, the plants and the animals and you and I.
Earth is called the Goldilocks planet. Conditions are just right for the life in it.
Lots of water and a great atmosphere,
And a whole lot of trees to keep the air clear.
They breathe in what we breathe out.
CO2 is what we're talking about.
70% of the Earth is water.
If you see it from space, it looks like a blue marble. Planet Earth. Planet Earth. There's life everywhere, from the skies to the seas to the microscopic organisms in the dirt. Planet Earth. We're living on planet Earth. Third rock from the sun is the only one with a bunch of life, 'cause there ain't no place like planet Earth. Planet Earth. We're living on planet Earth. Planet Earth. We're living on planet Earth.
Hey, Cowboy Lance!
Yeah, girls?
We heard you know a thing or two about the planets. Could you tell us about planet Mars?
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars, so let's keep talking about planet
Now,
Mars.
planet Mars is 142 million miles from the sun. Outside of planet Earth, planet Mars is the most researched one. If you compare Mars to Earth by diameter, Mars is roughly half its size. It's called the red planet, and its color comes from dust that's made from iron oxide. Alright.
Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars, so let's keep talking about planet Mars.
Mars has seasons like Earth because its axis is tilted 25 degrees. If you lived on Mars, you'd weigh less than you would on Earth due to gravity. It takes 687 Earth days for Mars to orbit the Sun. It's got the largest volcano in the solar system, and its name is Olympus Mons. Okay.
Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars, so let's keep talking about planet
Now,
Mars.
planet Mars has a couple of moons, and we didn't want to leave that out. Their names are Deimos and Phobos, fear and panic. Now, what's that all about? Well, Mars was named for the god of war in the legends of ancient Rome. And Deimos and Phobos were his twin sons, so you know they were bad to the bone. Here we go.
Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars, so let's keep talking about planet Mars.
One day on Mars is about as long as one day on Earth, you see. Theirs is 24 hours and 37 minutes with a slower rotational speed. Now, we've sent missions up to Mars to find out what we can, like Spirit, Opportunity, and Curiosity roaming around on Martian land. Alright.
Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars, so let's keep talking about planet Mars. Planet Mars, fourth planet from the sun among the stars. I can't think of nothing for these 4 bars. That's all we have to say about planet Mars.
Jupiter, 5th planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one. Jupiter, 5th planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one. Jupiter,
The very first gas giant.
Jupiter,
It's also a stormy planet.
Jupiter,
It has a great red spot.
Jupiter.
Storms happen there a lot. It's 86,881 miles in diameter and negative 284 degrees is its temperature? It's 484 million miles away from the sun.
Jupiter.
Its size can't be outdone.
Jupiter, fifth planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one. Jupiter, fifth planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one.
Well, Jupiter was named after an ancient Roman god. When they saw that big fat planet in the sky, I'm sure they thought it was odd.
Hey man, you're messing up our song!
I apologize. Huh?
Now let's get back to our regularly scheduled song.
Jupiter,
It's called the king of the planets.
Jupiter,
All the other planets could fit inside of it.
Jupiter,
Its days are 10 hours long.
Jupiter,
Over 60 moons call it their home.
It has dark red bands called belts and lighter bands called zones. Jupiter and all of its moons could make a solar system on their own. It takes 4,333 days to go around the sun, and its atmosphere is made of hydrogen and helium.
Jupiter, fifth planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one. Jupiter, fifth planet from the sun in our solar system. Jupiter is the biggest one. Jupiter, it has a lot of mass. Jupiter, it's a big fat ball of gas. Jupiter, it has a lot of mass. Jupiter, it's a big fat ball of gas.
What's the planet with the beautiful rings? What's the planet with the beautiful rings?
Saturn,
What's the planet with the beautiful rings?
Saturn,
What's the planet with the beautiful rings?
Saturn,
Is the planet with the beautiful rings? Saturn is the planet with the beautiful rings. Saturn is beautiful, magical it seems, with an elaborate network of 7 large rings. They each have an orbit of a different speed. They're made of dust and ice and other debris. It's oftentimes called the jewel of space. It's the second largest planet with a prominent place. It's 6th in line from the heat of the sun. Its atmosphere is methane, hydrogen, and helium. What's the planet with the beautiful rings?
Saturn,
What's the planet with the beautiful rings?
Saturn,
What's the planet with the beautiful rings? Saturn is the planet with the beautiful rings. The Romans named Saturn for the god of agriculture. It's the only planet that could actually float in water, because it's a gas giant and not very dense. 1,100 miles an hour is the speed of its winds. This causes major storms every 30 years, and Galileo once thought that Saturn's rings were its ears. It takes 10,000 Earth days to orbit the sun, and the length of its day is 10 Earth hours long. What's the planet with the beautiful rings? What's the planet with the beautiful rings? Saturn is the planet with the beautiful rings. Saturn is the planet with the beautiful rings. Saturn is the planet with the beautiful rings. place where storms tend to happen a lot. Sometimes it's here, other times it's there. My dark stormy spot can be anywhere.
Neptune, you're so far away.
Almost 3 billion miles from the sun, they say. That super long distance is the main reason that my temperature is low and my clouds keep freezing. I have ice crystals floating all around. I'm a big gas giant, but not easily found.
What do you mean?
Well, because of all the distance, astronomers have to use a telescope's assistance.
Cool.
They didn't find me till 1846. I was there the whole time. I wasn't trying to play tricks. Neptune, planet number 8, a deep blue disk in outer space. Neptune, you're made of gas. They reclassified Pluto and now you're last. Neptune, planet number 8, a deep blue disk in outer space. Neptune, you're made of gas. They reclassified Pluto and now you're last.
This is a tune about Neptune, not a tune about tuna, 'cause tuna is a fish, not Neptune, the Beanie Boo seahorse. It's a tune about Neptune, the planet. Neptune, Neptune, you have dark lines.
I have zones like Jupiter, but these are mine.
What about moons?
Yeah, I have those too. Triton is the largest of my satellite crew. I'm named for the Roman god of the sea. My winds blow fast, supersonic speed.
Wait, what? Faster than the speed of sound?
1100 miles an hour, they're the fastest around. They move eastward and westward at different velocities.
What does that mean?
It's their directional speed.
Do you have rings?
Yeah, I've got a few that were first confirmed by Voyager 2.
Neptune, Neptune, how long is your day?
19 Earth hours if you count it that way. I'm the farthest planet out, so my orbit is long. About 60,000 days to go around the sun. Neptune, planet number 8, a deep blue disk in outer space. Neptune, you're made of gas. They reclassified Pluto and now you're last. Neptune, planet number 8, a deep blue disk in outer space. Neptune, you're made of gas. They reclassified Pluto and now you're last. N-E-P-T-U-N-E, N-E-P-T-U-N-E, 8th planet from the sun you see. N-E-P-T-U-N-E, N-E-P-T-U-N-E, hey, thanks for listening. Pluto, you're smaller than Earth's moon, and that made some people think that you weren't good enough to be a planet. But we believe that you feel differently, and here's why. You used to be the 9th planet from the sun, till the International Astronomical Union reclassified you in 2006. They said that you're no longer qualified for planet status in their eyes. How could they play such a cruel celestial trick?
Pluto, you'll always be a planet to us. They made you a dwarf, it's not fair. Pluto, you didn't even put up a fuss. Now they're acting like you're not there.
Your distance from the sun on an average day is about 3.6 billion miles away, and your temperature is negative 369 degrees. You're made of water and ice with a rocky core. This should have been enough, but they wanted more. It takes you too long to make your way around the sun. In 76 years, your orbit's only just begun.
Pluto, you'll always be a planet to us. They made you a dwarf, it's not fair. Pluto, you didn't even put up a fuss. Now they're acting like you're not there.
Ooh, you're periodically closer to the sun. This is when your ice thaws and your atmosphere forms. 560 years to go around. When you get closer to the sun, your frozen atmosphere begins to thaw.
The place where you live is called the scared disk. Your name is Eris.
Yeah, you make your home where the icy minor planets roam.
You're smaller than Earth's moon. You're called a trans-Neptunian object.
4TNO with an orbit that's farther than Neptune shows.
Scientists think that you're made of rock. You're hanging out in the most distant spot. All the asteroids in the Kuiper Belt can fit inside your dwarf planet itself. You're super cold all night and day because you're 8 billion miles away from the sun. Yeah, Eris, you're the one, and it's been fun. You're a dwarf planet, small in size. After Pluto and Eris, you're the third in line. Located in the Kuiper Belt, beyond the orbit of Neptune's where you find yourself. Discovered by astronomer Michael Brown, you're one of the reasons he knocked Pluto down. First observed in 2005, and they originally called you FY9.
Named for the rat that knew we died of fertility. That's when they changed your name to Monkey.
Surface covered with methane ice, the second brightest outer solar system object in sight.
Monkey.
And your code name was Easter Bunny. Don't know about you, but to me that's pretty funny. Like the largest Kuiper Belt objects, you have a moon. It's a tiny dark spot we call MK2. Reddish brown is the color you display when your surface interacts with
Ultraviolet rays. Monkey.
You got ice like a rink for playing hockey.
Monkey.
You got the serious punch like Rocky.
Monkey.
You don't have a mouth, so you know talkie.
Monkey.
This song is finished, so now we're gonna stop it.
is a rock in a spot in the outer solar system where it never gets hot. 4 billion miles from the sun, originally called EL61. March 2003 is the time you were found, and now you're one of the fastest spinning objects around. Elongated shape, you spin end over end, and in terms of uniqueness, how many of you win?
Dwarf planet, weird shape, you finally got your name in 2008. Icy planet, really bright, 32% of Pluto's size. How many of
has 2 known moons. Hayaka and Namaka, they might find more soon. As a short 4-hour day, 285 years is how long your orbit takes. There was a question at first of who discovered you. Was it the guys in Spain or the Michael Brown crew? The IAU couldn't seem to decide, so the credit that they gave, they simply divided.
rocky planet, Pluto-like, your surface is covered in a coat of ice. No atmosphere, a TNO. This means that your temperatures are really, really low.
You're cold.
A TNO.
Weird spin.
Long and thin.
Third dwarf.
You're not a dwarf.
You're cool.
Dwarf planets rule.
Dwarf planet,
It said no,
got a weird orbit.
it said no,
Dwarf planet,
it said no,
got a long orbit.
it said no,
Dwarf planet,
it said no,
got a strange orbit.
it said no,
Dwarf planet,
it said no,
got a long orbit.
it said no.
Saturn was discovered by Michael Brown. 2003 was when the planet was found. The only thing redder than Sedna's Mars, and its distance from the sun is super duper far. We're talking 84 billion miles. No other planet orbits in Sedna's style. It goes around the sun in a gigantic ellipse. It takes 11,000 years just to make one trip. Methane, nitrogen, oxygen and water, ice is said to surface composition. Better get it right.
Yeah.
It's the most distant object in the solar system, but I'm pretty sure that we've missed some. Named for the goddess of the sea at the bottom of the Arctic in the Inuit mythology. You can find Sedna hanging out in the inner Oort cloud, and it's time for the chorus now. Dwarf planet,
It's Sedna.
got a weird orbit.
It's Sedna.
Dwarf planet,
It's Sedna.
got a long orbit.
It's Sedna.
Dwarf planet,
It's Sedna.
got a strange orbit.
It's Sedna.
Dwarf planet,
It's Sedna.
got a long orbit.
It's Sedna.
Some people say Sedna is a scattered object, or in the trans-Neptunian set. But we haven't been out there yet,
So it's really just anyone's guess.
Dwarf planet,
It's Sedna.
got a weird orbit.
It's Sedna.
You're a small little dwarf planet.
It's Sedna.
Got a long orbit.
Take forever to go around the sun.
It's Sedna.
Got a strange orbit.
It's
Teeny
Sedna.
tiny little dwarf planet.
It's Sedna.
Got a
Yeah,
long orbit.
It's Sedna.
Series. The Dwarf Planet Series. My name is Ceres, and I'm a dwarf planet in the Asteroid Belt. The only dwarf in the inner solar system, pretty much by myself.
Oh yeah,
I hang out between Mars and Jupiter, and I'm made of rock.
that's right.
I was discovered in the 1800s, so I'm not a new kid on the block.
Here we go.
1801 was the year when Giuseppe Piazzi discovered that I was here. They thought I was an asteroid for a long time, but then they realized they gave me the wrong kind of classification, so they had to correct it. Now I'm a dwarf planet, much more respected, and I'm about as big across as Texas, twice the size of the asteroid Vesta. I got my name from the goddess of the harvest, and in the asteroid belt I am the largest celestial object hanging out with the space rocks, and my surface has mysterious bright spots. Scientists still don't know what those are, but they give off a serious shine from afar. So NASA sent out the spacecraft Dawn to study me and try to figure out what's going on. My name is Ceres, and I'm a dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. The only dwarf in the inner solar system, pretty much by myself.
Oh yeah,
It takes about 5 Earth years for me to go around the sun,
that's right.
and I rotate really fast, so my day is 9 hours long.
Here we go.
My name is Ceres with a C, not like the other series, cause that would be a sequence of events or activities. But I'm a dwarf planet and I'm one of these. My name is Ceres, and I'm a dwarf planet in the asteroid belt. The only dwarf in the inner solar system, pretty much by myself.
Oh yeah,
Anytime you eat a bowl of cereal, I hope you keep this in mind.
what's that?
My name is where cereal came from. Looks like I'm out of time.
Goodbye. Q-U-A-O-A-R. What was the name? Pronouncing it is kinda hard. Q-U-A-O-A-R. It's a dwarf planet, not a comet or a star. 2002 is the year you were found by Chad Trujillo and Michael Brown. Like Pluto, you're chilling in the Kuiper Belt among icy debris where no human can dwell. Although Polaris is right, it was much too small to be accurately measured by Palomar. It was a 48-inch telescope that they used, but Hubble gave a measurement much more true.
About 700 miles in diameter. You're a long-distance space traveler. 285 years to go 1 lap around the sun. Man, that's slow.
Q-U-A-O-A-R. What was the name? Pronouncing it is kinda hard. Q-U-A-O-A-R. It's a dwarf planet, not a comet or a star. 2007, not a moment too soon. It was discovered that Polaris has one small moon. They call it Waywalk. Say what? And it orbits fast. It's only 1/2000th of Polaris mass.
tried not to pronounce it wrong. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We're signing off, and we'll see you next time.
The dwarf planet, we don't really know that much about you yet. The Kuiper Belt is where you're found, yet another dwarf discovered by Michael Brown. Orcus, the dwarf planet, we don't really know that much about you yet. You're a trans-Neptunian Plutino, and here's a couple more things that we know.
Are you talking about orcas like killer whales?
No, Orcus, the dwarf planet.
90482, no, it's not a zip code, is the number that they gave you. First spotted by the Palomar Observatory. Just some background in case you haven't heard the story. Michael Brown, Chad Trujillo, and David Rabinowitz were like the three amigos. They discovered this Plutino in 2004. They named it Orcus after Etruscan folklore. He was the god of the underworld, a bad dude. Judging by his face, he was always in a bad mood. But anyway, Orcus has one move called Van for the goddess of death.
Sounds like fun too.
It's a Plutino, that means it's bound by the gravity of Neptune as they both go around the sun. And Orcus takes a long time to make the trip, 247 years.
Really?
Legit!
At over 600 miles across, Orcus orbits the sun like a Kuiper Belt boss.
Orcus, the dwarf planet, we don't really know that much about you yet. The Kuiper Belt is where you're found, yet another dwarf discovered by Michael Brown. Orcus, the dwarf planet, we don't really know that much about you yet. You're a trans-Neptunian Plutino, and that's pretty much what we know. Salacia,
The dwarf planet.
some people call you
The dwarf candidate.
Salacia,
The Kuiper Belt is your home.
and your name comes from the goddess of the sea in
Ancient Rome.
2004 you were discovered by Michael Brown and two others, Henry Rowe and Christina Barcume, and they classified you as a trans-Neptunian object. You just got a disk, you know, and your orbit is slightly larger than Pluto's. Over 270 years.
Salatia's a long way away from here.
Salacia, you're as big as Ceres, but farther away.
Salacia,
The dwarf planet.
some people call you
The dwarf candidate.
Salacia,
The Kuiper Belt is your home.
and your name comes from the goddess of the sea in
Ancient Rome.
Salacia has a lot of water ice, and it also has a natural satellite. And the name of this moon is Actea, a sea deity in Greek mythology. Scientists aren't really sure if Salacia has a rocky core. We're pretty sure that they're doing their best, so we're okay.
With an educated guess.
Salacia, maybe we'll get a real picture one day.
Salacia,
The dwarf planet.
some people call you
The dwarf candidate.
Salacia,
The Kuiper Belt is your home.
and that's pretty much all we've got, so it's the end of the song.
Pluto, you're smaller than Earth's moon, and that made some people think that you weren't good enough to be a planet. But we believe that you feel differently, and here's why. You used to be the 9th planet from the sun, till the International Astronomical Union reclassified you in 2006. They said that you're no longer qualified for planet status in their eyes. How could they play such a cruel celestial trick?
Pluto, you'll always be a planet to us. They made you a dwarf, it's not fair. Pluto, you didn't even put up a fuss. Now they're acting like you're
core. This should have been enough, but they wanted more. It takes you too long to make your way around the sun. In 76 years your orbit's only just begun.
Pluto, you'll always be a planet to us. They made you a dwarf, it's not fair. Pluto, you didn't even put up a fuss. Now they're acting like you're not there.
Ooh, you're periodically closer to the sun. This is when your ice thaws and your atmosphere forms. It's made of methane and nitrogen, Pluto. Ooh, you have 5 moons that we know so far. You're the largest planet out there among the dwarfs. You have an elliptical orbit that makes you kinda crazy, trading places with Neptune. They can't say you're lazy.
Pluto, you'll always be a planet to us. They made you a dwarf, it's not fair.
What's up with that?
Pluto, even though it's all a big bust, we honestly just don't care. I am the sun, I'm a yellow star. You can feel my heat, though I'm very far.
93 million miles.
I am the center of the solar system. I'm made of hydrogen and helium.
I don't have a solid surface because I'm a ball of gas. I'm 99.8% of the solar system's mass.
Wow!
And nuclear fusion is how I generate energy. The temperature in my core is 27 million degrees. There are 8 major planets that are orbiting around me. If I didn't send my light your way, there's not a whole lot you could see.
Yikes!
It takes about 8 minutes for my light to arrive on Earth, and solar flares are what happens when I have a quick energy burst. I'm 93 million miles away. I'm the light that you get in the middle of the day when it's time for you to go out and play, and even when it's dark, I never really go away.
I am the sun, I'm the yellow star. You can feel my heat, though I'm very far.
93 million miles.
Without my energy, Earth has no life. I'm over 800,000 miles wide.
The internal structure of the sun is made up of 3 parts: the core, radiative zone, and convection zone. I warm your oceans, and I also melt your snow. I regulate your seasons, and I cause your plants to grow. My surface temperature is around 10,000 degrees. So when you're at the beach on a sunny day, be sure to pack your sunscreen.
The surface of the sun is the photosphere. Above that layer is the chromosphere. Combined with corona is the atmosphere. And that's about all I can say right here.
I am the sun, I'm the yellow star. You can feel my heat, though I'm very far.
93 million miles.
I'm big enough to hold 1,000,000 Earths.
That's big.
This song is done, there's no other verse.
We're finished.
This is a song about the moon. Yes, you could call it a lunar tune. You can look at the sky at night, see the moon shining bright. It's a natural satellite, and it orbits the Earth, reflecting the sun's light. The moon is a rocky place, we always see the same side of face.
Why?
Because the time it takes to rotate, it's the same as its orbit.
There's 27 days.
And the moon looks different, depending on the way the sunlight hits it. It goes through 8 phases. It may sound same, but the way that it goes is
New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent.
this is a song about the moon. Yes, you could call it a moon or two. If you look at the sky at night, see the moon shining bright. It's a natural satellite, and it orbits the earth, reflecting the sun's light.
Now the moon has basins and craters, lava and plains and mountain ranges. Its gravity pulls at the earth, causing high tides, and it's over 2,000 miles wide.
The moon is 239,000 miles away. July 20th, 1969. We'll always remember that day.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You traveled a long way.
This is a song about the moon. Yes, you could call it a moon or two. If you look at the sky at night, see the moon shining bright. It's a natural satellite, and it orbits the earth, reflecting the sun's light.
There's a ring of rocks in outer space called the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. It goes around the sun like a big highway. It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. Between Mars and Jupiter is where it dwells. It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. It has millions of rocks from what we can tell. It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt.
The word asteroid means star-like. William Herschel gave them that name when he observed them on a dark night. And they exist in a disk in the inner solar system, where they drift and even get into collisions on occasion. And they break into pieces, adding to the asteroid population. And now there's millions of them in the belt, 200 million miles from the sun. They're not gonna melt.
There's a ring of rocks in outer space called the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. It goes around the sun like a huge highway. It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. Between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars, the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt is circumstellar because it circles a star. The Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt.
One asteroid in particular, Ceres, is the largest in the inner solar system.
Clearly.
They also call it a dwarf planet. Of all the mass in the asteroid belt is 33%. But then there's Vesta, Pallas, and Hygeia. Second, third, and fourth largest is the idea. All together they make up about half of the asteroid belt's mass. See you later, class.
What's the ring of rocks in space? It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. It orbits the sun like a big highway. It's the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. Hanging out between Jupiter and Mars, the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt. If the belt is the highway, the asteroids are cars. Oh, the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt.
The Kuiper Belt is a ring of icy objects in space.
A whole bunch of rocks and ice.
It's not a belt
that you can wear around your waist.
Does
buckle. It's in the outer solar system,
and it has a donut shape.
Too bad there's no jelly. The Kuiper Belt is 4 billion miles from the sun. That's a long way away. Scientists still don't know how it was formed. All they can do is guess. It's that icy cold place that all the Plutinos call home, including Pluto. It's the largest, baby. New Horizons is the first mission to the Kuiper Belt. It's all about that flyby. It's the place where Pluto, Haumea, and Monkey dwell. We call them the dwarf planets. More than 100,000 KBOs are hanging out there. FYI, that stands for Kuiper Belt objects. Gerard Kuiper is the astronomer for which it was named. But Kenneth Edgeworth helped out too. Fragments of rock and ice are what it contains. Not a whole lot going on out there. The main ingredients are ammonia, water, and methane. Keyboard solo time.
Take it away, Cowboy Lance.
Big space bubble, kids.
Can you tell us how the Oort cloud works?
Just a second, here comes the first verse.
Oort cloud, strange little name. We're not sure it's even there, which is just as strange. It's a theory of a really big cloud that surrounds our solar system all the way around like a space bubble, made of rocks and ice. Some of the comets that you see come from it.
That's nice.
It's way beyond what we call the heliosphere. That means the sun and all the planets are nowhere near. The Oort cloud is a bubble in space that our solar system lives inside. At least that's what the scientists tell us, but nobody really knows if they're right.
Can you tell us what the Oort cloud is?
It's a really big space bubble, kids.
Can you tell us how the Oort cloud works?
Just a second, here comes the second verse.
Jan Oort of astronomy fame came up with the idea of the cloud.
It's the name!
He was also the first one to state that the Milky Way rotates.
And that's great!
The Oort cloud is made of two parts, an inner disk and an outer sphere, both really far away, in a place called interstellar space. Even though it's not confirmed, it's the theory of the day.
Double O-R-T cloud, we know what it is and we know how it works now.
It's a space bubble.
Double O-R-T cloud,
It's a
we
space
know
bubble.
what it is and we know how it works
It's
now.
a bubble in
Double
space.
O-R-T cloud,
It's a
we
space
know what
bubble.
it is and we know how it works now.
It's a space bubble.
Double O-R-T cloud,
It's a
we
space
know what it
bubble.
is. It's a big space bubble.
region in space where gravity is so strong nothing can escape. Black hole, you know that place where matter is squeezed in a tiny space. Black hole, a region in space where stars collapse and fade away. Black hole, you know that place where matter disappears without a trace. Ever wonder what happens when a star collapses?
A black hole!
Gravity starts pulling and all the matter gets trapped in, never to be seen again. Like water going down the drain when you pull the plug in the tub. It's insane how a black hole pulls all the matter around into a region of space that can't be found.
A giant star casts out its outer layers, leaving the core, which collapses in on itself and forms a black hole.
Black hole, a region in space where gravity is so strong nothing can escape. Black hole, you know that place where matter is squeezed in a tiny space. Black hole, a region in space where stars collapse and fade away. Black hole, you know that place where matter disappears without a trace. There are three types of black holes: stellar and supermassive and miniature.
Whoa! So a black hole can be small?
As tiny as one single atom.
That's all?
Yeah, but they can be really big too. Supermassive black holes are the ones that are super huge, and then stellar black holes are the ones that come from dying stars much bigger than our sun.
Sagittarius A is a supermassive black hole in the middle of the Milky Way. We will never reach it because we are too far away.
Black hole, a region in space where gravity is so strong nothing can escape. Black hole, you know that place where matter is squeezed in a tiny space. Black hole, a region in space where stars collapse and fade away. Black hole, you know that place where matter disappears without a trace.
Someone please help me out of this black hole now.
Let's take a journey through the Milky Way.
Milky Way,
What discoveries can we make today?
make today.
A spiral galaxy with planets and stars.
Planets and stars,
Just don't confuse it with the candy bar.
candy bar.
The Milky Way is a galaxy. Stars, dust, and gas bound together by gravity. And it spins like a pinwheel. The Orion arm is where our solar system chills.
And it's rotating pretty fast.
10,000 miles an hour.
But what about solar mass?
It's the size of 100 billion suns, and it's made of several swirling arms. The Milky Way sounds kinda dreamy, but it's a massive space stuff, not sweet and creamy like the candy bar with the caramel and the nougat. It's a bar spiral galaxy with stars running through it by the billions. Nobody knows just how many, suffice it to say there are stars aplenty. And it's 100,000 light years wide, that's trillions of miles from side to side. Let's take a journey through the Milky Way.
Milky Way,
What discoveries can we make today?
make today.
A spiral galaxy with planets and stars.
Planets and stars,
Just don't confuse it with the candy bar.
candy bar.
Astronomers used to think that the Milky Way contained all the stars in the universe, but after 1920 it was discovered that the Milky Way is just one of many galaxies.
The center of the Milky Way is a riddle. There's a really strong radio source in the middle. Sagittarius A is what it's called. It's a supermassive black hole.
It's very dense because of its gravitation, and it gives off electromagnetic radiation.
But don't worry, planet Earth is safe because we're 26,000 light years away. Let's take a journey through the Milky Way.
Milky Way,
What discoveries can we make today?
make today.
A spiral galaxy with planets and stars.
Planets and stars,
Our song is done, now let's eat that candy bar.
candy bar.
That's a good candy bar.
Delicious. Good thing it's not a galaxy.
science came along, it used to blow people's minds. They would freak out and think that the world was gonna end. I can't imagine I would too if the sun went dim and no one could tell me what in the world was going on. It would be so crazy. So a solar eclipse, you see, is a natural phenomenon and nothing scary. The moon has to be at perigee for it to happen at all. If it's gonna happen, that's the only way. If you're not familiar with that word, it's the closest that the moon gets to the earth. The opposite is apogee, which is the word for when it's farthest away. A total eclipse is when the moon's silhouette seems bigger than the sun, but lest we forget, the sun is still a lot bigger, it's just farther away, and an eclipse is cool, so it's really okay. It doesn't matter which one is bigger anyway. They're all special in their own way. That's the truth, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this song about solar eclipses.
Nebula is a cloud of gas and dust in space, a gigantic bunch of particles in a distant place,
making shapes that fascinate,
created from an explosion of a dying star. You can never see it clearly with the naked eye.
It's just too far.
The word nebula is Latin for cloud, not like the ones on Earth you see floating around, made of water vapor, because a nebula is made of interstellar dust and gas and is found in outer space.
So how is a nebula formed?
Some are made when a star dies, others where a star is born. Then either way it goes, there's a whole lot of matter being shifted and scattered and thrown out and splattered.
So how long does a nebula live?
Their lifespan can last up to 4 million years, and they can be millions of light years wide, splashing out in space like interstellar tie-dye. And they don't have much mass. A nebula the size of planet Earth would probably weigh about as much as a cat or a dog, something relatively small, cause dust floating in space doesn't weigh that much at all.
When it's more than one nebula, you would say nebulate, and that's your tip for the day.
A nebula is a cloud of gas and dust in space, a gigantic bunch of particles in a distant place,
making shapes that fascinate,
created from an explosion of a dying star. You can never see it clearly with the naked eye.
It's just too far.
Okay, kids, we wanted to name all of the nebulae in our galaxy, but there's over 3,000 of those beauties. So instead, we're gonna name these.
Crab Nebula, Butterfly Nebula, Horsehead Nebula, Eagle Nebula, Ring Nebula, Cat's Eye Nebula, Orion Nebula, Helix Nebula, Tarantula Nebula, Swan Nebula, Red Spider Nebula, Nebula Nebula, Waterfall Nebula, UCAM Nebula, Red Square Nebula, Cartwheel Nebula.
That's the end of the nebula song. You can take a journey there, but it's really long. With a telescope, you can see them up high in the night sky.
Canis Majoris, the red supergiant, is the focus of this chorus. VY Canis Majoris, it shines so bright, how could we possibly ignore it?
VY Canis Majoris is one of the largest known stars in the Milky Way galaxy.
4,000 light years away from Earth in the constellation of Canis Major, there's a supergiant star shining very brightly because of its amazing luminosity. Nearly 500,000 times brighter than our sun, first discovered way back in 1801 by a French astronomer, Jérôme Lalande. You can see he was a serious looking man.
If VY were in the center of our solar system, it would take up all the space from Mercury to Saturn.
VY Canis Majoris, the red supergiant is the focus of this chorus. VY Canis Majoris, it shines so bright, how could we possibly ignore it? Why do they call it VY? It's a variable star pulsating from dim to bright. Its high oxygen levels give it red light. So a red hypergiant is the way it's classified.
Here we go.
Compared to the sun, how big is VY? Multiply the sun's size 1,500 times. VY makes the sun look super small, like comparing a BB to a basketball. There's no telling how long VY will last. It's already ejected over half its mass. Scientists predict it will explode one day and turn into a black hole when it goes away. VY, 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 Canis Majoris. VY Canis Majoris, the red supergiant is the focus of this chorus. VY Canis Majoris, it shines so bright, how can we possibly ignore it?
Scuti is the largest known star in the Milky Way, with a diameter over 1,700 times greater than the Sun.
Near the center of the Milky Way, with the Eagle Nebula nearby. 9,500 light years away, it's the star we call Scuti. It's the brightest looking star we discovered so far. 1860 was the year it was found. Its location is the Scutum constellation, and it seems to be the biggest around.
UI Scuti used to be called BD-125055, but we're glad they changed it, because that wouldn't be any fun to sing.
UI Scuti, UI Scuti. German astronomers discovered it first from the Bonn Observatory. They found it in the zone of avoidance where the stardust makes it really cloudy. 5 million times the volume of our sun, and it's near Sagittarius A. UI is a red hypergiant, super big and super far away. UI Scuti, UI Scuti, UI S-C-U-T-I, UI S-C-U-T-I. Beetlejuice, 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 Beetlejuice.
The red supergiant.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
In the constellation Orion.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Both brighter and bigger than the sun.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Just saying the name is fine.
Beetlejuice is a red supergiant, really bright, means something really gross when it's not spelled right. People knew about the star even in ancient times, guys like Ptolemy and others who were studying astronomy. But Sir John Herschel was the first one on the list to describe its brightness cycles in 1836. And it's in the constellation called Orion. It's been hard for scientists to measure it, but they keep trying.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
The red supergiant.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
In the constellation Orion.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Both brighter and bigger than the sun.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Just saying the name is fine.
Betelgeuse is about 600 light years away. Some people think it's closer depending on its brightness that day. That's always the problem with a variable star. It's a bit of a challenge to tell how far off they are. For those who want to know Betelgeuse facts and figures, we'll start by saying that it's 1,400 times bigger than the Sun, and it has 20 times more mass and belongs to the spectral class M2 lab. Scientists believe it's in its final stages, and once it explodes, a supernova is created. But that won't happen till it's probably much older. When it does, Orion's gonna need a new shoulder.
Yeah, Orion's gonna need a new shoulder.
Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse.
The red supergiant.
Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse.
In the constellation Orion.
Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse.
Both brighter and bigger than the sun.
Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse, Betelgeuse.
Just saying the name is fine.
The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, seventh brightest star in the night sky, was blue and white to the human eye. The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, sailors use it to navigate. It loses solar mass at a rapid rate.
40,000 times brighter than our sun, the supergiant star Rigel's in the left leg of Orion. A lot of people don't know that Rigel isn't just a single star, it's actually a cluster, which is why astronomers found it hard to measure just how many there are. But to you and me, it appears to be one star, when actually it's 2 or 3 or maybe 4.
Some say more.
But we won't get caught up there, just enjoy the light, cause Rigel's got plenty of it to share.
The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, seventh brightest star in the night sky, looks blue and white to the human eye. The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, sailors use it to navigate. It loses solar mass at a rapid rate.
Beta Orionis is Rigel's designation, and it is the brightest star in the Orion constellation, and it's also a corner of what they call the winter hexagon, with a bunch of other stars like Sirius and Procyon. Rigel is also what they call a navigation star. Sailors use them to help determine what their positions are. So Rigel gives them clues about their latitude and longitude. That's all for now, see you later, dude.
The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, seventh brightest star in the night sky, looks blue and white to the human eye. The blue supergiant Rigel in the Orion constellation, sailors use it to navigate. It loses solar mass at a rapid rate.
Sirius, Sirius, you're the brightest star
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius, Sirius, you're the brightest star
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius is a binary star system made of Sirius A, which is twice as massive as the Sun, and Sirius B, a smaller white dwarf star.
Sirius, a super bright binary star, can be seen all over planet Earth.
No matter where you are,
It's hanging out 8.6 light years away. That's roughly 52 trillion miles.
you can't get there in a day.
Located in Canis Major, topic of many scientific papers. It's a binary system labeled Sirius A and Sirius B. These two stars orbit each other. They're a part of a large star cluster. Sirius is pretty famous, dating back to ancient history.
Sirius, Sirius, you're the brightest star
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius, Sirius, you're the brightest star
called Sirius the dog star, and because it marked the beginning of their warmest season, it's where the phrase dog days of summer comes from.
Sirius is almost twice as big as the sun, and it has elements galore like iron,
hydrogen, and helium.
Dog star is a major nickname, worshipped by the ancient Egyptians. They thought it was a goddess that would give their land fertility. There's a ton of other religions, but Sirius has a high position. You could call it a famous star, a celestial celebrity. Sirius, Sirius, we're the brightest star.
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius, Sirius, we're the brightest star.
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius, Sirius, we're the brightest star.
In the night sky, in the night sky.
Sirius, Sirius, we're the brightest star.
In the night sky, in the night sky.
What's the name?
NML Cygni.
What's the name?
NML Cygni.
How do you spell it?
NMLCYGNI. NML Cygni.
NML Cygni is a red hypergiant they discovered in 1965. NML Cygni is a really big star, too far to be seen with the human eye. NML Cygni, aka V1489, is a red hypergiant or a red supergiant. Take your pick, hanging out in the Milky Way sky. Part of the constellation called Cygnus, surrounded by huge envelopes of space dust. NML is a star that loses its mass at high rates and is over 5,000 light years away.
It's a red hypergiant hanging out in space. The constellation Cygnus is its permanent place. It's one of the most luminous in the Milky Way, and it loses lots of mass every day.
NML Cygni is a little over 1,600 solar radii. NML Cygni is nearly as big as the hypergiant UY Scuti. When people say NML, what they're really saying are the three names Neugebauer, Marx, and Leighton. Keep in mind it was those three guys who discovered NML Cygni in 1965.
That's right.
If you replace the sun with this star, it's gigantic enough to extend super far all the way out to Jupiter and possibly Saturn. Either way, the Earth would be consumed, so it wouldn't matter.
It's a red hypergiant hanging out in space. The constellation Cygnus is its permanent place. It's one of the most luminous in the Milky Way, and it loses lots of mass every day.
NML Cygni is a red hypergiant they discovered in 1965. NML Cygni is a really big star, too far to be seen with the human eye. Some people call it North Star, some people call it Pole Star. It's Polaris, the supergiant, and Ursa Minor is the star that's brightest. Some people call it North Star, some people call it Pole Star.
Polaris.
Is that how you spell Polaris?
Yes.
Polaris is super bright, about 2,500 times brighter than the sun.
Polaris is the brightest star in Ursa Minor, a yellow-white supergiant, and you can find it on the tip of the handle of the Little Dipper. And Polaris is a friend to the skippers and the sailors, cause it helps them with their navigation. They can tell their latitude by Polaris's location. And if you're wondering just how they do it, remember, the north axis of the Earth points to it.
Polaris is known by many names, including Lodestar, the Steering Star, and Gate of Heaven.
Some people call it North Star, some people call it Pole Star. It's Polaris, the supergiant, and Ursa Minor is the star that's brightest. Some people call it North Star, some people call it Pole Star.
Polaris.
Is that how you spell Polaris?
Yes.
Polaris as a triple star system, a 3-star cluster, maybe even a 4th or 5th one. All of the stars in the Polaris family orbit each other because they share the same gravity.
If you could travel to Polaris at the speed of light, it would still take over 300 years to get there.
Polaris. North Star. Polaris. Pole Star. Polaris. Supergiant. Polaris. North Star. Oh yeah.